All right, guys, let's talk about cations and anions. So cations and anions are types of ions that have either lost or gained electrons, which changes the overall charge of the atom. Cations have positive charges, and anions have negative charges. Cations, because they're a positive charge, means that they have more positive charges than negative charges. So typically that means they have lost an electron. Anions have more negative charges than positive ones. So what that typically means is that the atom has gained an electron. So let's take a look at carbon as an example. So typically, if you were to find carbon or look at a carbon atom, you would see that it has 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. So it has 6 positive charges and 6 negative charges. Each positive and negative charge has a matching pair. So the positives counter out or cancel out the negative charges, making the overall charge of this atom to be neutral. There is no overall charge. So let's look at a cation of carbon. So a cation, remember, has an overall positive charge, meaning it has lost an electron. So instead of having 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons, you see a cation of carbon having 6 protons and 5 electrons. That means there are 6 positive charges and 5 negative charges. If you were to cancel out the pairs of these charges, you would be left with 1 positive charge. So when you go to write down that you have a cation of carbon, you add a little tiny plus sign to the right-hand corner of the element symbol. Let's take a look at an anion of carbon. So if a cation has lost an electron, an anion has gained an electron. So if you look at an anion of carbon, though it has 6 protons and 6 neutrons, it now has gained and has 7 electrons. So 6 positive charges and 7 negative. If you were to cancel out the positive and negative pairs, you'd be left with 1 negative charge. So to show that you have an anion of carbon with 1 negative charge, you take C, the element symbol for carbon, and add a tiny negative sign in the top right-hand corner. Let's look at some more advanced ones. So sometimes you'll see cations and anions denoted with a number before the plus or minus sign. And what that means is rather than having 1 extra positive sign, it has 2 extra positive signs. And rather than having 3 extra negative signs or extra electrons, or rather than having 1 extra electron, it has 3 extra electrons. So there are 3 more electrons than there are protons, and there are 2 more protons than there are electrons. And that's about that for cations and anions.